In World of Warcraft, be it retail or classic, there's a rather clear path of content that your character is supposed to go down. From that moment you enter the world as a fresh-faced adventurer, going on quests and doing dungeons, gaining XP, learning new abilities, and so on. Eventually you hit the level cap and have a wider array of options open up, such as PvP in the arena or PvE in raids. Aside from that, over the years WoW has fleshed out content with achievements, transmog collection, Mythic Plus, rated battlegrounds, pet battles, and tons more. But some players don't really care about all that. Some players don't need a guided path. And whilst World of Warcraft may be the classic theme park MMO where you come to try out all the set-piece content, some players treat it more like a sandbox. A world separate from their own where they're free to explore, experiment, and just play the way they want. Today I want to take a look at some of the most unique ways that players have created their own game within the game, and check out the people who are famous in World of Warcraft for how differently they played the game. Warriors in vanilla WoW have a reputation for being difficult to level. They are highly gear dependent, lack rage generation early, and are super reliant on a good weapon to really start putting out respectable damage. Anyone who has leveled a warrior has that moment where the odds stack up against you and you just straight up die to a mob the same level as you because they parry or dodge about 6 times in a row. It wouldn't be the warrior experience if this didn't happen now and again. But what if picking one of the toughest classes to level was not already enough for you? What if you wanted to abandon the one thing that warriors rely on so much and tried to hit level cap without ever having equipped any items at all? Well, on 13th of February 2007, a video was uploaded to YouTube showing an individual who had achieved just that. Gutsrot the Troll Warrior. The challenge was simple: level 60, no weapons, no armor, only grinding, with Gutsrot claiming about a 6-month time frame to get this done. Also, I noticed this character was on Airy Peak. That's where I started playing WoW back then as well, and I was on there for years. I guess I just never came across this crazy troll in his leveling journey. Funnily enough, if there was a class to do this challenge on though, Troll Warrior is a very good pick. Trolls get extra damage against beasts, which you can use to grind on, regeneration for a bit of extra health, and berserking scaled with missing health back then. Certain key warrior abilities work well with this too. Thunderclap or Demo Shout both don't need a weapon of course, and in the Fury tree you have Enrage, Rampage becomes more useful in TBC, and Bloodthirst doesn't actually need a weapon to be equipped in order to be used. This video gained a bunch of attention for this player, with now many rooting for him to push through TBC content and hit level 70, though Gutsrot started to provide more update videos showing just how brutal this challenge was. Especially entering Outland, the choice of mobs to farm were pretty thin, and for a time he even went back to farming old zones such as Silithus or questing in Western Plaguelands. But on October 22nd, 2007, near 8 months after the first upload, Gutsrot released his grand finale, hitting level 70 in Senjin village, not far from where his journey began all that time ago. The final level was achieved by summoning an image of Archmage Vargoth to hand a quest in. This is usually part of a quest chain in Netherstorm, but I guess you can summon him anywhere. The gathering of trolls and supporters alike was so huge that the server even went offline for a brief time, something that in years to come Blizzard would start to take a bit more of an aggressive stance on. Gutsrot and his crew would then go on to raid Stormwind and create a truly unforgettable night for all those involved, before leaving the video with a simple message: be ya in Northrend. The follow-up to this and his level 80 would take quite some time though, with a repost of his invitation to his level 80 ding being found on MMO Champion, dating September 16th, 2009. There is also footage of the pre-ding event online, but nothing from the famous troll himself. I think we can assume Gutsrot did achieve his goal of hitting level 80 without weapons or armor, but also created a legacy for players to follow, to be insane enough to take on what he started all those years ago. And during Vanilla Classic, a player would follow in Gutsrot's footsteps called Voivod, who not only took on the naked leveling challenge, but did so as an undead hardcore no deaths warrior, which is like playing hard mode on mega hard mode. I guess you have cannibalized to regenerate every so often against humanoid or undead mobs, but I'd imagine you're not too short on spare change because this challenge involves a ton of grinding mobs. Either way, challenge runs such as this that began all those years ago are starting to see more popularity once again through the more recent hardcore movement on Classic WoW. We'll have to see how far people can take this insanity in the months and years to come. Next is a player who I can totally relate to from when I first started World of Warcraft, Dysphoria. This player was famous for their Hunter versus World videos, where they would take on high-level dungeons as a solo player, and just see if they could overcome the odds and beat content that was designed to be done with a full party. Hunters in WoW have always been known for their ability to solo content, with tons of ways of kiting enemies, long-ranged attacks, and a pet. They're kind of the perfect class for the job. I remember having a level 30-something Hunter, and the content I did was more or less exclusively working out how to solo various Scarlet Monastery dungeons. In some of Dysphoria's earliest videos, you can see them working on a route through Dire Maul North, using their pet to reset mobs and then quickly moving through the open spaces. They would gradually advance through feigned death use and even showed off a King Gordok strategy, which is more or less exactly how people mapped out the optimal way to defeat the boss in Classic, which is crazy. To think a player had cracked this all those years ago solo with way less information on the internet is very impressive. Now, if you played a Hunter at endgame during Classic, chances are you also did some Dire Maul North runs, and there are several reasons why. It's a personal gold farm, mainly from disenchanting items in the tribute chest. You could sell items in the tribute chest too, as a player who was not in the dungeon could zone in and loot them still, or to clear it so other people could enter and gain various tribute world buffs. And whilst a lot of the run has been sped up and smoothed out, you have to hand it to the Hunter that led the way to getting these tactics down. A more recent player now, but a super unique one, and one which I suspect you just may have heard of. Double Agent. So during the Cataclysm, one of the changes made to the game was now that gathering herbs or mining would give a small bit of experience. Just a little helping hand to ensure that whatever you're doing in World of Warcraft, it's helping you progress towards your level cap. Not a big deal, right? Well, in the following expansion, Mists of Pandaria, World of Warcraft's first and only neutral race was introduced to the game, the Pandaren. Starting on the Wandering Isle, this race sees the good and bad sides of both the Horde and Alliance, and at the end of their starter journey have to make a choice to commit to the faction that they prefer. Or that is what most people would do anyway. What if you decided that all this fighting just really wasn't for you, and you would rather just remain on the Wandering Isle? One player, named Double Agent, did just that. After exhausting the Isle of Quests, the only repeatable method of experience gain left was gathering herbs or mining, and that is just what he did, requiring thousands and thousands of herbs to continually level up. This incredible journey saw him start at level 1 all the way up to 85 during Mists of Pandaria. There are two more factors that make this achievement even more impressive, by the way. First of all, there were no mount trainers on the Isle. You were expected to do this on the mainland after having picked a faction, so Double Agent rolled a shaman in order to have access to Ghost Wolf, which would speed up this already lengthy process considerably. Second is that the Wandering Isle, back then at least, had no mailbox, and the heirloom tab didn't exist in the game until Warlords of Draenor, so we had to do this without heirlooms or a mount. And this is one of those rare occasions where the player has kept up his incredible feat of strength, tweeting in December 2022 that he had been able to achieve level 70, which is now the cap in Dragonflight, without ever having left the Wandering Isle, finishing with a playtime total of 212 days and 22 hours. Now that is dedication. Next up, there have been many players over the years who have dedicated their character to challenges forsaking the combat that World of Warcraft is often centered around. One of these is Nor or Rhynish. These were a gnome rogue and an undead priest. They were both role-played as characters that did not want to cause harm in any way and play through the game as a pacifist. As part of the challenge, they would try to keep weapon skills at 1. This was done through having a fishing pole equipped, as well as focusing on methods of experience gain that did not need combat, such as exploration, gathering quests, or retrieval quests. This was done early in TBC though, so eventually their possible XP gains did begin to plateau out towards the mid-20s on both characters. In 2.3, Blizzard released repeatable battleground quests, which technically gave this player a new avenue to continue gaining XP, where they would only heal on Priest, and on the Rogue they aimed to disrupt enemy flag carriers through CC, or carry their own flag using non-damaging Rogue abilities, as well as equipping pieces of gear such as the green whelp armor, which has a chance to sleep the target on hit. I wonder what the theoretical level cap with no combat would be in Classic or TBC. Everything is a lot more mathed out these days. Even still, I'm not sure this is an avenue in the game that's been fully explored. Maybe someone out there will try it one day. Till then, we have stories like this. Next up is one of those names you've almost certainly heard of at some point. It's one of World of Warcraft's most well-known players to represent a single class. I'm not sure what made them more famous, finding so many janky spell interactions, dedication to soloing content, or the fact that he was a troll when pretty much every other famous mage from back in the day was undead. I'm of course talking about Faxmonkey. Whilst hunters were good at soloing things, mages could often take it one step further, especially in vanilla with no AoE cap and elites which could often take out mages in a few hits. Faxmonkey showed how powerful Frost Mage kiting was back then, through repeatedly moving back and using Frost Nova, and just doing things which realistically very few players, let alone classes, would have been capable of doing at the time. Not to mention his one versus many PvP videos, which there's more than just a few amazing mages over the years who have been able to show just how overpowered this class really is in vanilla, or finding out that spell steal in TBC could lead to some pretty hilarious results, such as the fire shields that kobolds used in AV stacking with your spell power, which meant you could go grab a few buffs from the nearby kobolds in the mines and then just run around and microwave people. Seeing a mage just run straight into a whole pack of alliance and AoE them down in a matter of seconds, even when they're in ice block, will always be something that's memorable. There's been so many unique players and playstyles over the years that people have come up with to really push the boundaries of what both themselves and their class are capable of. Whether it's a grind that lasts thousands of hours, soloing content, or role-playing in a certain way, it goes to show what MMOs are all about. It's that diversity of content, the ability to create your own story, and the chance to be a player who goes down in the history books of this game for making memories for so many others. Those are the few I wanted to cover today. Let me know which players have made an impression on you over the years, whether they were a big part of your server, you watched them on Warcraft movies, or anything else in between. Would love to hear about it. And as always, thank you all so much for watching and listening in, and I'll see you all in the next one very soon.